We have done up to page number 109. So in last video we have done up to page number 109 and we have done up to the graphical figures of flowchart, right? And today we will start from some of examples of flowchart. So just let us revise what is flowchart. So flowchart is the graphical representation of stepwise instructions to solve a problem, right? Here, as you can see in example 1, example 2, 3, 4, all these are the graphical representation of the stepwise instructions to solve a problem. So first problem, as you can see, is to add two numbers. So how is it possible to add two numbers? So for that you have to take two numbers as input, and after that you have to add the numbers and you have to put the result of addition into another variable. Here we have used the variable as sum. So first point, that is first terminator, is start. Then you have to, that is the input box, you have to take input of a, input of b, then sum is equals to a plus b, and after that you have to display sum and then stop. The program will be terminated. And in example 2, flowchart to compare two numbers. So how is it possible to compare two numbers? Like we have two values 10 and 8. So in that case, whenever you are comparing these two numbers 10 and 8, you know that which number is greater and which number is less, that is which number is smaller and which number is bigger and which number is smaller. 10 is bigger than 8, right? So here, as you have in example 2, flowchart to compare two numbers. So if whenever we are comparing, that is there is a condition whether first number is greater than the second number, or you can say a is greater than b. So if a is greater than b, in the condition is true, that is a is bigger and b is smaller. So here I want to show the smaller number, so just display the smaller number b. If the condition is true, that is a greater than b, and if the condition is false, in that case b is greater, right? So whenever you are checking a is greater than b and the result is true, that is a is bigger number and b is smaller number, and you want to display the smaller number, in case of true result you have to display b. And if in case of false result, you have to show a, that is a is smaller, and after displaying this the result, you have to stop the program, that is you have to terminate the program. Now come to example 3. So flowchart showing the steps to calculate the area of the rectangle. So first you have to know the formula of how to calculate the area of the rectangle. So just this is a simple formula to calculate the area of the rectangle. You have to multiply length with the width of the rectangle, that is length of the rectangle and width or breadth of the rectangle, you have to multiply them, then you will get the area. So here to solve the problem, that is to calculate the area of the rectangle, just you have to multiply length and breadth. So first you have to start the program, then you have to take the input as length and breadth of the rectangle, and after that for calculating area you have to multiply length with length and breadth. So area is equals to length into breadth, and then display area and then stop. Right, now come to example 4. So flowchart showing the steps to calculate the average of three numbers. So how to calculate the average of three numbers? Only there is the way that you have to do the sum of three numbers, and after that you have to divide that sum with 3, because there are three numbers, you have to calculate the average of three numbers. So here you have the steps how to solve the problem using programming language, and that is you have to make the flowchart, that is the graphical representation of the stepwise instructions to solve a particular problem. That is, first you have to start the program, then you have to take input of three numbers, and you have to take save these three values into three variables, and then just you have to add these three values, and after that you have to divide the sum with 3. So this is the way, and then stop. So before that you have to display the average of three numbers. So display the average and then stop. So here, as you can see, started the program. We have taken input of three numbers. Then to calculate average, first you have to add the numbers, and after that divide it by 3, and the result will be stored in the variable whose name is average. The name of the variable is average, right? And after that you have to display the value of average, that is display average, then stop. Now come to example 5. So flowchart to display a message hello if the name entered is Rahul, otherwise display the message go away. So if whenever we are doing the program, if we have entered the name as Rahul, then there will be a message hello, and if we do not have entered the value as Rahul, that is name as Rahul, in that case go away message will be printed. So now just start the program. So start, then input name, you will get the name as Rahul. So his name is equals to Rahul, then true, display hello. If it is false, then display go away, and then stop the program, right? And similarly in example 6, flowchart to display the product of two numbers a and b. So only if the product exceeds 100. So display the product of two numbers only if the product value exceeds the value 100, that is product is greater than 100. So in that case, first you have to start the program. As you know, here we first have to start the program, then input a and b, then product is equals to a into b, then is product is greater than 100. If product is greater than 100, that is the condition is satisfied, that is the result of checking the condition is true, then display product. And if the result is false, then display product is less than 100, then stop. So the program will be terminated. And after that, just see advantages of using flowcharts. So there are various advantages of using flowcharts. So flowchart has many advantages over writing algorithms in plain statements. So since a flowchart is the graphical representation of a problem solving steps, it is easier to read and understand, the better communicate the logical steps needed to solve a problem. So logical steps can be understood better if we are using flowchart, because this is thus problem is solved using the graphical representation. Now point 2, flowcharts helps us to analyze program more effectively. And third point, preparing a flowchart is a good way of documenting how to solve a particular problem by using the computer, and this kind of documentation is required for various purposes after the flowchart has been converted into a programming language. So using just the steps that is mentioned in the flowchart, you just do the programming to solve a problem, and programming that is written in high level language. Now fourth point, flowcharts help an effective translation of the problem solving steps into a programming language. So using flowchart, just you can convert effectively the problem solving steps into programming language. And last point is, when someone makes a mistake while converting instructions written in the flowchart into a programming language code, programming language code, he can always refer back to the flowchart to find out where he has made the mistake. So whenever we are just converting the steps mentioned in the flowchart into the programming language, so for any mistake, just we have to go through the steps in the flowchart to get the to sort out the problem. And thus flowcharts helps us in removing errors from a program code. Now just come to the important part. Do you know the program written to solve a computer problem in a programming language is also known as program code? Now just come to activity given at page number 112. State whether true or false. So a flowchart is a graphical representation of an algorithm that is true. A rectangular box in a flowchart is used for displaying processing instructions. Yes, this is true. Whenever we are processing, in that case we use the rectangular box. Third one, the decision making boxes in a flowchart are round in shape. Now this is false, because decision making boxes are basically diamond. and the lines that connect various parts of a flowchart are called flow lines. No, here this is given that these are called connectors, so this statement is also false. Now come to let's call part. An algorithm is a set of stepwise instructions given in a specific order to solve a problem, and flowchart is the similar, but here we just represent the stepwise instructions in a sequential manner through a graphical or through visual representation. Third point, the terminal box is used at the beginning or at the end of the flowchart, and the input or output box is used to show the input data or output data of processing. And second last point is the processing box holds the processing instructions, and the decision box is used to show a decision making step in the flowchart. So decision box is used to make decision in the flowchart, and processing box is basically used to process the instructions. Now just come to terms to learn. So some important terms are there that you should remember. What is algorithm? A set of stepwise instructions given in a specific order to solve a problem. Already you know that. And what is flowchart? Graphical representation of the problem solving steps described in an algorithm. Next one is terminal box. An oval shaped box in a flowchart which is placed at the beginning or end of the flowchart. Now next one, decision box, a diamond shaped box in a flowchart which is used to show a decision making steps. A decision making step. And now just processing box, a rectangular box in a flowchart which is used for showing a processing step. Now come to flow lines, lines that connect different types of boxes in a flowchart. And program, set of instructions given in a programming languages to solve a problem that is called program. Now just come to worksheet 1. Fill in the blanks with the help of the help box. So there are a few words given in the help box and you have to fill the blanks. So a flowchart helps in the effective translation of the problem solving steps into the program. Second one, the statement product is equals to 5 into number will go into the processing box in a flowchart. Third one, the terminal box represents the start or end of a flowchart. Third one, the input output box is shaped like parallelogram, that is input and output box. And next one, fifth one or the last one, the processing box is the shape like rectangle. The processing box is shaped like a rectangle. Now worksheet 2, which of the following boxes will you use to write input statement, that is a parallelogram. Next one, which of the following symbols will you use to connect two parts of a flowchart on two different pages? So in that case we will use connector, that is the circle. And what do you call the stepwise instructions given to solve the problems? So stepwise instructions is called algorithm. Fourth one, what name we given to the lines that are used to show the flow of data in a flowchart, that is flow lines. So the answer will be flow lines. Now just come to worksheet 3. So you have to state whether the given statements are true or false. So an algorithm is a graphical representation of the problem solving steps. Algorithm, yes, this is false because algorithm is not a graphical representation. Second one, a computer can solve some problems without our instructions. This is false because without any instruction computer cannot do anything. Third one, the processing box in a flow chart is rectangular in shape. Yes, this is true statement. Fourth statement, the start or stop box is oval shaped in flowchart. Yes, this is also true statement. Fifth one, the flowchart makes the task of writing program much more harder for programmers. This is false statement because much more easier. Flowchart makes it much more easier. And now come to worksheet 4. Answer the following questions. What is meant by term algorithm. So an algorithm is a set of step by step instructions given in a logical order to solve a problem. Next one, what is flowchart? A flowchart is a graphical or visual representation of the sequence of steps required to solve a problem. Now third one, why do you use a computer why do we use a connector sign in a flowchart? So when a flowchart is lengthy and spreads into two or more pages, then connectors are used to connect two paths of a flowchart on different pages. Fourth question, what is the use of flow lines in a flowchart? So the arrows here, as you can see, the arrows in four directions, the arrows which are used to connect the various geometrical symbols in a flowchart are called the flow lines. And next, write two differences between input output boxes and processing box. So input output box, that is shaped like parallelogram, and processing box, it is shaped like rectangle. Use, that is what is the use of input out box? Used to show input or output related steps in the flowchart. And next one is used to show processing steps, that is calculation data manipulations in a flowchart. Now sixth one, give any four advantages. Sixth question, give any four advantages of using flowchart method to solve the computer problem. So what are the four advantages? So first advantage, flowchart helps to analyze problems more effectively. Second one, it helps in an effective translation of the problem solving steps into a programming language. Third one, since it is graphical representation, it is easy to need and understand and better to implement the logical steps to store a problem. And fourth one, it is hard to remove an error in program code. Now just come to the lab time given at page number 115. So draw a flowchart to accept two different numbers, multiply the smaller number by 5 and print the result. So here, as you can see, here two numbers are accepted from the user and is checking a is less than b. So the number which is smaller, that will be multiplied by 5. Here if a is smaller, then a into 5 will be stored in another variable, as you can see, that is the variable c, and otherwise that is n. Otherwise c is equals to b into 5, that is the smaller number will be multiplied by 5 and it will be stored in another variable. Then print c and then stop. So second problem is accept two numbers and multiply them, print yes if the result is greater than 50, otherwise print no. So accept two numbers a and b from the user and then multiply them, and then c is equals to a if c is equals to a into b, and you have to check the condition whether c is greater than 50. So if c is greater than 50, that is true, then go with y, that is the condition is satisfied. In that case you have to print yes, and otherwise n and print no, you have to print no, and then stop the program. Now just come to practical 3. So compare two numbers a and b, multiply the bigger one by 8 and print the result. So here just start the program, accept a and b. So you have to check is a greater than b. If a is greater than b, yes, then c is equals to a into 8, and no, then c is equals to b into 8. Then you have to just print c and then stop. Now just come to practical 4. accept two numbers, find their sum and product, and display both the product and sum. So from the user, just you have to accept two numbers, find, that is you have to do the addition of two numbers, and you have to do the multiplication of the numbers and store the values in different variables. So start, accept a, b, sum is equals to a plus b, product is equals to a into b. Here sum and product both are the variables with their values. So next you have to print sum comma prod and then stop the program. Now just come to practical number 5, and compare if the first number, so accept and compare two numbers. If the first number is greater than the second number, find, display their differences, and otherwise find and display their sum. So first you have to check which number is greater. So we have taken already, and b, if a is greater than b, then yes, that is a is greater than b. Then we will just find the difference between a and the next number that is in b. And if you get the result as no, that is a is greater than b, then no, that is b is, that means b is greater than a, that is c is equals to a plus b. You have to add these numbers, and in both cases you have to print c, because with the resultant value is stored in variable c. Then print c, then stop. Now just come to practical number 6. Accept the name of a country, display the message I love my India, and if the name is India, otherwise display the message not my country. So you have to take the name of the country as input. If name is India, then you can print I love my India, and otherwise you have to print this is not my country. So start, then accept the name is India, is name is equals to India, that is the condition which I am checking. Yes, if name is equals to India, then print I love my country, and else print not my country, that is name is not is equals to India. In that case print not my country. Now just come to stop part, then the program will be terminated. So therefore this is all for today. Stay safe, stay at home. I will upload the PDF of this chapter.